Mustang Morning News is a public forum for student expression. Students make all content decisions, and opinions do not necessarily represent those of the Manhattan Beach Unified School District.
Today, we find out why the school is cracking down on absences and tardies, how the ethnic studies course is being implemented, and what effect the phone bans will have on California schools.
This is the Mustang Morning News.
Welcome to the first show of the year. I'm Mac Bedner.
And I'm Nathan Inouye.
Get ready to test your knowledge with today's Costa Quiz.
This is how it works. Go to our Instagram story now at Mustang Morning News and respond with your name, your teacher's name, and your answer to today's question for a chance to get a shout out for you and your class.
Here's today's question. What percentage of teenagers in the U.S. have a smartphone? Is it A, 99%, B, 90%, C, 46%, or D, 95%?
Think you know the answer? Submit it through our response box at our Instagram at Mustang Morning News.
Costa's admin is ringing in a whole new era with a crackdown on tardies and absences. From tighter rules to tougher consequences, Blake Diamond and McKenna King find out how this policy is keeping students on their feet and in their seats.
With the new school year underway, Costa is addressing a significant issue: attendance. In recent years, student absences and tardiness have become a growing concern. The impact of student absences goes beyond just classroom learning. For every student absent, the district loses approximately $65 a day. With the number of absences adding up, the district is projected to lose a staggering $2.8 million this year. This financial strain has prompted the district to introduce stricter attendance policies in hopes of minimizing these losses. But it's not just about the financial implications. It's about ensuring that students are present and engaged in their education.
I think that attendance is definitely a big issue, but I feel like the school should focus more about getting to the root cause for each student.
The district's approach includes increased communication with parents, stricter enforcement of tardy policies, and more frequent attendance checks. This means parents will be more involved in ensuring their children attend school regularly. On average, since the first day of school, about 22 kids are absent per day.
So just last year, the 23-24 school year, I know that students were not really feeling the motivation to go to every single class on time every single day because the consequences were not as consistent as we wanted them to be. So this year we've centralized that process. So we are going to be running reports every single Thursday and assigning consequences for students who have period truancies or period tardies.
As the school year progresses, the effectiveness of these new policies will become clearer. The district remains committed to addressing attendance issues head-on. With the Mustang Morning News, this is McKenna King and Blake Diamond.
Last year, we discovered the truth behind why ethnic studies courses were being mandated statewide. This year, they debuted at Costa. Connor Bronson and Emma Gordon report on how they're being implemented and evolving.
Costa High School's first ever Ethnic Studies course has kicked off in the 2024-25 school year, aligning with California's statewide mandate for all high schools by 2025. The signing of Assembly Bill 101 has made Ethnic Studies a graduation requirement by the 2029-2030 school year, meaning that the current 7th grade class will be required to take the course.
Based on, the feedback that we've received from working with the committee, and I think just this is its pilot year of starting the course. We'd like to stick with it being offered during the school year.
Especially at Costa, taking classes over the summer is a fundamental way of freeing up student schedules, potentially making this class a disturbance in many students' days. Costa is not the only school offering courses under Ethnic Studies, as other schools have also begun to offer this type of class. One of these is Culver City High School, where 4 different Ethnic Studies courses are offered. As of right now, over 20 students are working on the Ethnic Studies Committee, considering curricular options for future expansions of the course.
This class was created from scratch, mostly by me, to cover what I mentioned before, which is the experiences of all the diverse peoples of the United States, and to create opportunities for the students to explore them in their own way.
Hundreds of schools across California have already implemented ethnic studies programs, being a model for Mr. Kane and the admin to follow. For the Mustang Morning News, this is Connor Bronson and Emma Gordon.
We have the answer to today's Costa Quiz.
The question was, what percentage of teenagers in the U.S. have a smartphone? The answer was D, 95%. In total, there are over 310 million smartphone users across the country. Congrats to the winner, who has been announced on our Instagram story.
How attached are you to your phone? Could you go a day without it? A statewide push to ditch the devices is headed straight for Mira Costa. Nathan Inouye and Jet Purser look into its possible implications.
In the past 20 years, cell phones have become integral to daily life, especially for 95% of high school students and teens. Despite providing countless services and abilities, research indicates that the rise in popularity of social media and phones has led to numerous negative effects, such as academic performance and mental health, which have seen one of the largest declines since pre-COVID.
And I just saw over the years, like, their attention erode, their interaction with one another, just being present in the moment of the classroom was all just kind of deteriorating.
In response, 7% of schools have moved to ban phones for non-academic uses, with California introducing a bill in February banning phones excluding use in emergency, medical needs, and educational purposes. In addition, several other districts have invested in phone locking technologies like Yonder pouches, which have been adopted widely, magnetically lock each student's phones in pouches until the end of the school day. Despite short-term success, many of these solutions present different concerns from students, parents, and even teachers who depend on phones to teach their curriculum.
More about learning to use technology as a tool to problem solve, which is what you're going to need to do for the rest of your life, right? It's what you're going to need to do for future learning, for future work, for future leadership, right? And how do we get used to using these tools in a way that helps us solve problems?
Not only do the phones being unlocked enhance learning opportunities by allowing access to educational materials and learning platforms, but it also provides a platform where students can easily facilitate better communication regarding assignments and other activities.
At Mira Costa specifically, I think a lot of our device use does have some great potential, but again, only when it's used responsibly. I think it's important to understand that if we want students to use their personal devices, it should more so be as a tool versus the negative impacts of how it's been used.
With the evolving landscape of media and technology, phones can enhance education by providing access to resources that support learning while also having the potential to have detrimental effects on students' mental health and learning ability if not managed properly. Because of this, teachers should focus on integrating this new technology into curriculums and guiding students on how to use these devices effectively and responsibly within the classroom rather than banning them entirely.
And that's why this is so tricky, because we want to keep talking about the device, right? We want to keep talking about this thing and whether we allow it or not allow it. But it's not that simple. It's not about whether you allow it or not. It's about what you do with it.
For the Mustang Morning News, this is Jet Purser and Nathan Inouye.
We are going back to back on the topic of phone bans, with students who have plenty to say. Raquel Bowen and Bryn Bear report on the different student perspectives on how a potential ban could change our school's landscape.
Last story, we talked about why schools across the nation are banning phones. However, while we've heard from educators and staffs about their perspectives, students themselves have yet to have their voices heard.
I don't think the phone ban is necessary, because if a teacher wants me to put my phone away in class, they can ask me to, or they can take it being in class. But if there's an emergency on campus, I think I should be able to reach my family and reach my parents to be able to tell them what's going on and to let them know I'm safe.
I mean, it's necessarily for the quiz, for exam, but for the regular classes, maybe not, because there's some students like me have the special situation, maybe for the language.
At Windward High School, just 30 minutes from Mira Costa, 9th graders are required to place their phones in lockable pouches for the entire school day.
The communication part is bad for me when I'm trying to communicate with people, so I have to resort to something worse like email on my iPad or something.
While some students acknowledge the purpose of the Yonder pouch, others are resisting the new phone ban and finding ways to avoid it. At Berkeley High School, reports indicate that some students are breaking or vandalizing the pouches, and while some are protesting in person at school, others are rallying support online, with several petitions circulating to abolish the use of Yonder pouches altogether. Referring to the previous story, the Yonder pouches reportedly cost around $25 to $30 per student. Instead of investing in these pouches, that money could have been better spent on hiring additional teachers and improving the campus infrastructure. Although Costa hasn't resorted to paying for these pouches, teachers at Costa have taken to other strategies to keep students off their devices, such as phone pouches, taking phones away, and restricting phone time in class. Some students rely on their phones even just to communicate. Bingbing Lau, a 10th grader at Maricosta High School, speaks Mandarin as her first language and uses her phone as a translator.
History, it has some parts for reading, and it's kind of ancient English. That's a little bit hard for me. And yes, so I sometimes use my phone to translate.
Because the phone ban is signed into law for 2026, it is critical that students' voices speak out before anything becomes official at Costa. For the Mustang Morning News, this is Raquel Bowen and Bryn Berry.
That's all for today's show. Make sure to check out our Instagram at Mustang Morning News and stick around for our sports segment after this.
Thanks for watching, Mustangs, and have a great year.
To wrap things up, let's take a look at how Maricosta's sports teams are doing so far this year. The Maricosta boys football team won their first 3 games, including a nice comeback win against Redondo, while the girls flag football team is currently 6-4. The girls volleyball team is doing great, currently sitting at a record of 10-3. The boys water polo team is currently 7-4, off to a solid start. And finally, the girls tennis team is thriving, currently sitting at 5-0-1.